Alrighty, folks, we're back, and Eden is joining me
Howdy do.
as we're going to go through 2024, the best, the worst, and everything else for TTO. We're going to try and keep this to an hour and a half, but it's actually a good chunk of good games I'm going to try and talk about. But for the most part, there's like 25 bad games that will be at the end. So I'll try and put timestamps to every single game in the YouTube for this when this does go up. But yeah, if you like the shit, you know what to do with the YouTube socials and shit like that. So yeah. Hey, anyway, let's just get into this. So, have you played any horror this year, Mr. Eden?
Off the top of my head, I don't know that I have, to be perfectly honest. It's not really a genre that I kind of like dip my toes in all that far, because having worked for 10 years and like working night shifts and seen 4 a.m. many times, bumps in the night don't really do much to me, like at all, in any way, shape or form. So I tune into you playing stuff, wandering dark corridors and trying to find doorknobs and all the rest of it.
Yep.
And then that's my fix for the most part, to be honest.
Well, we played, as of today, which is the 31st of December, we played 705 indie horror, well, not just indie horror games, they were horror games, because there are like a handful of ones, like we played Silent Hill 2, we played Still Wakes Deep, which was very good. They're both very good games, both very expensive for what they are, but both very good. Still Wakes Deep definitely is more expensive because it's like a 4-hour game for like $30, which is, I can't in good faith recommend that kind of stuff, but very good game. If you can get it on Game Pass and stuff like that, I would definitely recommend it, but it's not worth $30. That's it. I said, when I looked at how long to beat it, it said 5.5 hours, and I was oh great. I played it and finished it in 4, and I was like oh. But there's no.
It's impossible to believe. I've never seen an accurate one on there, I swear.
Well, the biggest problem with Still Wakes Deep is there's no reason to explore, because there's no like hidden notes or anything. So you're just going A to B to C to D to E to F, and there's not really any reason to not just go at full speed. So you can just finish it in 4 hours.
The difficult thing with a lot of horror stuff is that you need to be led by the nose, but at the same time you don't want to feel like it's just one direct straight line, especially because video games being the way they are, it's like player agency is most of what makes a video game the way that it is. So if there is none and you're kind of being led through the story, make a film.
I mean, yeah, I would say make a visual novel.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why some people will immediately look at this. They might be watching this YouTube randomly and just being, is mouthwashing on your list? No. Mouthwashing is a good game, but gameplay-wise, it let itself down because the gameplay is just walk here, walk there, walk here, walk there. There's nothing. If you'd made a visual novel, basically, for doing the same thing, even like Danganronpa, where all you're doing is you're just walking a little bit, but it's much more of that kind of style, and that's what you go in. I'd probably would have been like, yeah, cool. But the gameplay for mouthwashing just wasn't great. The story was fantastic. The story was very involving. I know why a lot of people look a bit down on it and embraced it, but the actual gameplay itself side of mouthwashing just didn't do much for me.
I did look into mouthwashing a little bit because it was one of those games that was kind of doing the viral.
It's doing very well, and I'm grateful to see like an actual indie horror game do really well. I just wish the gameplay itself was good. The story is fantastic. The story is very well, heavily done, and everything. That bit's great. But the gameplay side is just. And the sad thing is, when I say that, I'm going to be talking about games in a second that I really enjoyed. Everyone's going to be like, this looks shit. Why the fuck is that better than mouthwashing? And literally all I have to say is my list goes in games that literally I can only describe as spark joy. Because sometimes I enjoy games that are absolutely terrible, but I feel good after playing them. So, yeah.
It's all a subjective kind of a deal on that kind of thing. Ultimately, there's a bunch of stuff that I'm into game-wise where it's like, I wouldn't expect anybody else to like this, but hey,
we're gonna start this. We're gonna start with usually how I do end of the year reviews is I do best free games of the year, then I do best actual games of the year, then I do the terrible ones. There are 5 games in between that are like awful games that I had a lot of fun with, but they're genuinely terrible. Because some of them are really fucking bad. And then we'll go on to the last one. But yeah, I'll try and blitz through this. But usually I start with games that are before 2024, and then I go into 2024, and then we go from there down. So you can see most stuff. But we start with a game I played back in January, which is Rough Night at the Gallery. This is a game basically about you're wandering around dealing with paintings of dogs that can interact with you and shit. I'll play the videos while we do this so you can get a rough idea in the background what we're doing. Actually, do you want me to share my screen with you, actually, Eden? Would that be easier?
Yeah, just there then. That'll be easier for streamline purposes.
I will turn the display capture off while I do that, and then I will jump it back on. I realise I should have done this before.
This is slightly disappointed that this isn't a night involving wearing like frilly cuffs around your neck.
Oh,
like,
it's great. You're basically wandering around and dog paintings do like watch you and do shit. It's actually a lot more fun than you'd expect it to be. Let me just share the screen rather than because that's probably easiest. There we go. Right. But yes, This is Rough Night at the Gallery. I had a lot of fun with it. Again, it's a free game. I have reviewed it. Tried to review everything that's on my top list games of the year. But yes, it's a free game. I can't really say anything more than that. It's a little game you just fuck around with dog paintings that just, it's just good. It's a good little game. What do we have next? Next we had... Oh, helps when I can spell. Wayward Harbor. This is a student game, I believe. But yeah, this is a little one about escaping from... You start in a house and you have to try and work your way out to get out of the house. It's a student game. There's an invisible creature that you can only see in a mirror reflection. It's got a decent challenge to it, and I said it's free. It's genuinely a good little game to pick up.
Yeah, for freebie, that looks like it's pretty well polished. And the mechanic of actually being able to see the invisible monster for a change through some means is quite nice.
You can only really see him over your shoulder with a mirror, if I remember right. But yeah, it's still good. It's got that kind of weird... it's got like subtly weird mechanic, but it's something different. And you will notice in the free games list there's a lot of student games in this, because I play basically random shit I find on Steam, and there are some weird and wonderful student projects come through. But we will try and blitz through these. The next one is Ginkgo. This is an East Asian horror. It's another student game. This is the one where you're like, there's like threads and needles, and you're trying to like sew bits together to try and it's a very weird mechanic, but it's something very different. It's only like 20 minutes long, but it's something very different from anything else I'd seen. This is from 2020 as well. This has been on Steam for quite a while.
The name is ringing a vague bell, but I'm looking it up now, and no. I was thinking, is that some like Japanese practice of rope binding? No, it's not.
No, it's I'm not really sure. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it's just such a weird concept for a game of like trying to use like thread and tying walls together and stuff. It's a very strange one. The next one is just a fucking meme game, but I loved it. It's Suspicious Downpour.
Suspicious Downpour?
Suspicious Downpour.
That's a hell of a name.
It's only like 10 minutes long. It's fucking stupid. I can't say anything more really than that. But you sit in the rain with your torch and look out of your tent. And then something happens at the end. It's a meme, but I fucking loved it. That's all I really can say about Suspicious Downpour, because... yeah, it's free as well, as I said, so. Right, then we get into Last Message. This is a mostly text-based one. You kind of wander around, you're all kind of like isolated and you're just wandering around texting people, and yeah, it's kind of a very reedy game where you're kind of... It's basically like you're on MSN Messenger, which I think me and yourself probably know well, but I don't think anyone else will. But no, it's like going back and forth and like seeing where things go. It felt very much like a sort of teaser for something longer, but I don't think anything did come from it. But yeah, it was just a fun little game to play for like I think it's like 20 minutes, something like that. 0.6 of an hour, so about just over half an hour. Right. Then we have another student project, which was this one, which is I Won't Forget You. Which is one about finding different coloured lenses, and the lenses change what you see in the world. So you see, like, for example, if you have the blue lens on, you'll see different pathways. The yellow one, you'll see, like, bridges and bits like that as well. Again, I think this was another student project. Yes, it's another student project. It's very kind of got bendy animation.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's basically like monsters can't attack you if you have certain. Can only attack you if you're on certain. Like if you switch your lens, the monsters just disappear and they can't attack you. But if you switch back to it, they can reappear. It's weird little connecty bits, but it works really well. Again, as a free game, it worked. It played for like 0.8 of an hour, so yeah, it's pretty sound. And if you like the kind of that kind of style game, as I said, these are all free games. These are all really good.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept.
Next is one that we only finally got round to this year. It's Quiet as the Eyes. All your co-workers are gone, the halls are quiet except the pitter-patter of rain in the window, so you're playing a scientist. Again, this is another student game, and it's a little side-scroller. And you're basically a lab worker that fell asleep in the lab and you want to get home, and everyone's missing, and there's the hint that there's a very large friendo. There are some simple puzzles. There is a QTE section at the end, which is a little bit, but apart from that, everything's pretty solid. And
Just out of curiosity, is the title correct English?
Quiet as the Eyes. I don't know.
Is the eyes an entity or something, or should it be Quiet Are the Eyes? Just out of curiosity.
It could be Quiet Are the Eyes. It's very basically you like if you look through the windows, you're trying to avoid the giant friendo by hiding in a box when it goes along. So it's kind of weird, but it was a fun one to play through. Again, a lot of these I played through like at the tail end. Actually, that was I can't remember when we played that one. A while ago. Then we get to one that missed out on last year's end of year list by being played in the death spot between the review and the end of the year, which is Unsorted Horror, which you will see is by Mike Klubnica, who is the dude who made Buckshot Roulette. Which, if you're not familiar with, is coming up later on, because Buckshot Roulette is a bizarre social experiment that seems to have clicked really well with a lot of people. But this is a collection of 5 little games. They've very much got the sort of diesel punk style of that kind of like everything's rusty, like Iron Lung, where everything's kind of like rusted and falling apart, and that kind of machinery is very kind of like black with the green text and everything like that. Yeah, there's 5 little games in this one. They're all together. One of them is admittedly a battleship style game, which is kind of weird. But the other 4 that are there are very solid. One of them is trying to escape a room with this massive like proper like big like diesel punk rusty drill, trying to drill through the wall. You're trying to keep it operating. And there's other things as well. Yeah, this is just totally my kind of jam of games.
Does it operate anywhere? Because looking at the screenshots, it's giving me the weirdest kind of reminiscence of like old CD-ROM games, like Seventh Guest. Is it anything along those lines, or am I just seeing something that ain't there?
Have you played Iron Lung?
I've not played Iron Lung, no.
Oh, okay. Iron Lung is a game about being trapped in a submarine trying to go around, and everything's kind of rusted and that kind of like, kind of like machine that's just being held apart by its own rust kind of thing. Most of them are all like that. You're kind of going in, and you're just wandering around, and all the machinery is this, as I said, like dripping oil, and just I love this vibe. I love this fucking vibe.
I was just thinking in terms of like, so as you're wandering around, it looks like are there just like rooms where there are puzzles?
Yes. Oh, that's
right,
usually they're like some of them are like most of them are like contained rooms that you're stuck in, and you're trying to keep machines going by doing things. But yeah, they're just fun. They're just fun. This is the kind of sad things I really love. It's just kind of like full dystopia in a game. Like just that like kind of like you're stuck in a box somewhere because you live in a dystopia. That's this kind of style of game, and I love it.
Figure out exactly what went wrong and when.
Yeah.
And then realise that you're trapped forever in this. Yeah, in the doom.
So we have one more that was free from a previous year, and then we're on to free games from this year, and that is Blood Orange. Blood Orange is an RPG Maker game, which is very rare for us to play on this channel. But hey Sharona, hey Bets, how's it going? But yeah, Blood Orange is a RPG Maker game where you're basically you're walking around sort of deep underwater. It was made as a game jam for Thalassophobia, I believe. Yeah, it was made as a game jam for that kind of style, and it's just got a really interesting little story that just plays out as you go through it. and it's kind of dark and kind of fucked up, and I love it. So yeah, I can't really describe it any other way. You're kind of going down, taking pictures of like weird things underwater. And
Mhm.
as I said, it's a free game. If you like the look of it, more than I suggest to pick it up because it's fun.
Well, there's a few RPG Maker curiosities out there, and that definitely has a
I mean,
unique visual style about it, for
yeah,
sure,
I
by the
mean,
looks of it.
I don't tend to play RPG Maker games because I found they were so similar and they're so padded out that I
Mhm.
just never really got a chance to enjoy them without just feeling I was just stuck doing these RPG Makers all the time. But this one was very good. This one came recommended to me from someone, and it was very different, and I enjoyed it. So yeah. Um, Apologies, this is kind of like scattergun running through everything, but there was a lot of weird shit to get through today. Next, we had the ones from this year, which start with the Lancaster Leak Entity Exam. This is like a little. It's another, again, these are all free games still. It's like a little 6 different quizzes about identifying weird anomaly stuff. And it's things like, can you find the face in the room? It's here, it's there. Which one's which one's this? Which one does that? And it's meant to be, it's like seen as training for agents that are going in
Yeah,
to
I can
spot
see the
SCP stuff.
SCP kind of angle here
Yeah.
quite strongly.
And
That first image, sorry, is. Did you ever use a Game Boy camera?
no,
Do
but I know
you-
someone that did, and that's the kind of thing you'd give.
There are like a number of hidden things inside the Game Boy camera, like things that you can do that will trigger like developer photographs to come up. And there is one that looks so much like that I'm wondering, did the developer of this game intentionally create that image to be reminiscent? Because it's so similar.
Could be. Definitely see it as a possibility.
So it's got a strangely similar interface to the Game Boy camera as well in some weird way.
I think it's kind of just embracing that kind of like weird. I think it must be, like, I guess 2000s are going for with these kind of things, where it's like SCP agents of, it's like, oh yeah, we'll just do this sort of very nice online exam for how do you spot these things and entities. It's things like, oh, this happens and your partner gets savaged by the beast. What do you do? And it's like, well, it's totally fine because the beast is sated because it's been eating your partner. It's like, correct, well done. And you're like, oh, okay, that's what it's wanting me to do. All right. So yeah, it's fucking weird, and I loved it. Again, if you like kind of SCP stuff, you'll probably love it, and it is free.
And you can't argue with free.
Let's go on to Tangles. Oh, Tangles 2 is out. I need to look at that. So Tangles is a sort of, I guess, Resident Evil-esque kind of game. It talks about time dilation, and you're basically going around. There's some decent voice acting in it. There's you're finding little documents that explain the story, and you're basically just take something. Yeah. You're basically just exploring around after you pick the items up, because things just change a little bit as you do that, rather than just walking to, like, picking an item up, walking over, opening a gate, and so on. But yeah, just plays in about an hour, I think. Yeah, just over an hour, and yeah, was definitely very solid. Something very different, kind of still quite walking sim, but something definitely worth looking into if you are a fan of such things.
It looks like there's a lot of effort spent on the lighting in particular on this one.
We'll go to the next one. This is another one in the Iron Lung style, which you'll kind of realise already how much I kind of like these things. This is Zhukov Line. This is a game about being on a train and trying to keep the train going while the entity that you're transporting is desperately trying to wake up. So you're trying to keep the train repaired, keep yourself going, while keeping the friend somewhat stunned and somewhat sated. So you have to like make up where to put sedatives and stuff as the creature is trying to break your train from the inside along. So it's a couple of little steps game, but it's like it is kind of Iron Lungy, and I just kind of had a lot of fun with it. It's relatively easy. It does have an endless mode, I believe, now. But yeah, it is the kind. If you like that kind of like maintenance while doing things while keeping things going, style game, you'll probably really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'm just talking at you with this, but it's kind of all
It's all good. I mean, I feel like I should have more input at points, but at the same time, it's sort of like, let's say that a lot of this isn't really my flavour, but at the same time, it's curious to see what's out there because it's, I don't know, twists on familiar things, and now I'm immediately seeing an Animal Crossing influence
this
here.
is Rental. Rental is like about half an hour long. It's a short game about you're playing I think it's a young rabbit girl, if I remember right, just going into this house. It was a game jam game, which I think is why it's free.
Mm-hmm.
You get locked in the cabin, and you need to try and find how to do. You need to find things to do a ritual to get out. I think it plays in like 10, 15, 20 minutes, I think, if I remember right. But yeah, it's got just a little story to it. As a sort of little fuck around game, it was actually a lot of fun. It does. It has the very kind of like PSX style.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like my mind immediately goes to like that's the first version of Animal Crossing is what that looks like, 100%.
Hey, Alien, how's it going?
Howdy ho, folks.
So yes, Cassiculus is next. I like this game. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but basically it's a game about exploring a cave, and you're going to find your brother, I believe, who got lost in the cave. I will definitely say that there are spiders in this game, if anyone has a problem with that. But it's mostly just exploring this cave. And for a free cave exploring game, it does atmosphere quite well. And yeah, it was just a fun little one to play around with. Not really much else I can say about that, but it was an interesting one to play around with. Then we have Nightmare Files Clap Clap. It's a short indie horror game which puts you in the shoes of a house sitter. Yeah, basically you're a house sitter going in, and your employees, the person you're working for, is like, oh yeah, this new house has got the sort of clapping system for turning the lights on and off. But it's mostly just doing little, like the usual kind of like doing little tasks. Everything begins to get more fucked up as it goes along. But yeah, it was just a surprisingly good one. As far as it went along.
Wouldn't be able to play that without having the song "Clap Clap" come to mind every time that I clap clap. It's the dumbest thing.
I mean, you know, everyone has something that keeps them sane, especially for that kind of style. Oh dear. We do have a couple more on the free ones. This is one that I'm sure a lot of people have played because apparently it's gone down very well. Oh. It's gone down very well with people. This is Indigo Park. This is another mascot horror game, which does a lot of things right. Like mascot horror in itself is usually quite hard to. People say, "How can you get mascot horror wrong?" I think everyone has seen like Poppy Playtime and Ban Ban and Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff like that. That's been like, here's this mascot horror game that's just sort of it keeps beating the same dead horse.
Yeah, it's kind of done to death at this point in the concept.
Yeah. But this one was very good. It had instead of having like an actual like mascot that was running around at the start, the raccoon you meet, which is Rambly, is just computer generated. It's like on a screen, just being like, "Hi there, friend," and it just goes from there. And there is actual mascots. There he is. There you can see on the screen. But yeah, he is doing things like, "Isn't this wonderful?" And then things just, you know, that kind of trope of like the automated thing says this and overacts how great it was when the machine is broken and just makes a pathetic like ugh noise, but because it's automated, it still cheers really happily like the best things just happened. It's like that, but it just does a lot of things very well. And we've played a lot of mascot horror games over the years, and yeah, I think this is one of the better ones. Genuinely, we think it's worth picking up. It's chapter 1 at the moment. I don't think chapter 2 is out yet. But, yeah, I would definitely say that this one is worth looking at. The next one is another student project, I think.
Dragon Age Veilguard.
This is the Veiled Ones. This is a horror stealth game about a Muslim exorcist who's trying to save his son from jinn possession. This one was a lot more. There's a lot more of this game. This is why I'm pretty sure this one was a student game, because this one was one. Yeah, this is definitely a student project. It does try and do directional audio, which is my one problem because I can't do directional audio. My brain doesn't work like that. This one felt interesting for you. You're going in the house, you're wandering around, you're looking like the glass effect like that. You've just seen kind of shows what some weird shit's going on, and yeah, it just had a couple of real things that worked really well. Again, student projects, we do so many of them now in this, and some of them are just really, really good, and you hope that you see more from this kind of style. But yeah, this one, as I said, does directional audio, which is kind of weird for me, but apart from that, I can't really fault it. It was pretty sound. Played in about an hour. So, yeah.
Short and sweet.
I mean, we got a couple more free ones, and then we're on to expensive ones, so... Phantom Watcher. Anyone who likes Phasmophobia? This is a solo Phasmophobia game. This is basically, it tries to give you the, if I'm remembering the right one, if I am looking at the right one, I think I am. Yes, it's basically like wanting you to kind of challenge you to, it's kind of like the Five Nights at Freddy's camera system. While you're using the, you're trying to find diagnostics while looking at cameras rather than it being, there's two Phasmophobia games we've got this year, I just remember which one this is. This is the one, I think, where you look at cameras and you try and work out where the ghost room is, and where, like you'll see like shit move around, or you'll see like the coldness of the room and something. You'll see little bits on the cameras, and then you go and deal with it, and you again work out the ghost type from other things it does. Again, it's not the most polished thing, but it is something interesting, and it is a free game, and it's got potential there to be something very interesting. So yeah,
they work on it and develop the idea a bit further.
hopefully so. Then we get on to one of the best free games of the year, which I'm sure everyone and the dog has played, which is the Werecleaner, which is the game about being a werewolf who is also a cleaner, who has to work nights at his job because he's been told he has to. So you basically go in, and it's very much got that moving out. Moving out, or the game had this sort of same kind of graphic style as Moving Out. But yeah, it's basically a very kind of cutesy, cleany game, but you're trying to avoid any of the staff seeing you because you're a werewolf, and you don't want them to know you're a werewolf. And you can, if they do see you, you can eat them. But you're trying not to because you know that people ask questions if you eat too many people. But the security guard that works there is onto you, and he's trying to work out, you know, who you are, and if you're actually a werewolf. So it's just very good, genuinely very, very good game, and I'm really surprised it was free, because this is genuinely very, very good game.
Yeah, that looks very polished for a free game right there, and nice high concept. I like it.
Yep, poor Kyle, exactly. From one weirdly polished game to another, we have Go Hamster Chef, which is an N64 style horror game where everything starts really innocently and just starts descending into, you know, when the mask starts slipping and everything starts getting more and more fucked up. Yeah, it's like that. It's just very good.
That's the kind of horror game I can get into a bit more of, like, okay, there's something brewing under the surface. So something like that, where it's like, let's put, as I say, a mask on to begin with, and then give hints that there's something deeper going on here.
It was very good. As I said, still free, more than worth your time to have a look at if you like the sound of it. The next one, the next one's actually out. I need to actually get around to playing it. We played this. This is the prologue for Baby Blue's Nightmare, which is a toddler horror game. They describe it as. Basically, it's another kind of like a mascot horror. But it's like you're playing a child trying to find your doll friends that have been taken away. You apparently do get a tricycle that you can pimp up as well during it, which is late for the main game. But you're basically trying to find, I think it's like chocolate bars, stop yourself crying, and there's something else thing. But yeah, you use a thing, you start drawing to do things with enemies. It's got a lot of good ideas, and it does feel like it actually works as a concept. I haven't tried the full game yet. I didn't actually realize the full game was out. I will put that on my list and I'll try it for next year. But I would definitely say that this one is worth at least looking at the prologue. 'Cause the prologue's free. But yeah, it's just got a couple of really nice little elements to it, and I would definitely say it's worth looking at. The next one is a little bit sad because the next one is a mascot horror game. But what they wanted to try and do is they wanted to produce Chapter 1 as a free and then go on Kickstarter to get Chapter 2 funded. Their Kickstarter made like $21.
Oh dear.
I think I was $5 of that. So, but yeah, it had a lot of little ideas. It's like, although it's not, again, the most polished mascot horror, it had some nice ideas. You were going in. A lot of it was things that watch related. So you had a sort of gadgety watch. You can just see it. You can see it there and passing stuff that did things, and you were trying to like turn like power bits on the walls, and things would open up, and it did have a lot of nice little tricks and trinkets that I kind of liked. But I think a lot of people were really annoyed the fact that it was trying to like go, oh, it's free, but go back on Kickstarter. Again, which is a bit of a shame because I think it would have been really well. I hope they still make another part of it. But if this is the only part that's there, it's a free one. If you like mascot horror, you'll probably enjoy it. But yeah, we had fun with it. Again, shame it didn't get anywhere, but I don't think it advertised itself very well apart from just saying, oh yeah, we do Kickstarter. And when you're an unknown dev on Steam and you don't really have many people playing your game, it's not really the best place to just be advertising your Kickstarter.
No, not in this day and age. Kickstarter having kind of run its course in many respects.
Yeah. But anyway, that was Sivi's Factory. Next we have basically a darker version of Papers, Please. This is Veil Transfer. Basically what it is you basically are trying to avoid what is it? No, it's not fake people. What was it described as? It was you're trying to establish fake. I think it's like alien or fake people that are trying to get into the facility, and it's things like your description says, "Oh, this person, will respond this or they'll respond that," and if you don't believe them, you need to just basically blow their head off with a shotgun. It's bizarrely violent, but again, it has that kind of diesel punk vibe to it of grotty dystopia. And it's things like you basically just go through and you try and be like, well, is this person what they say they are? And if you let any of them through that aren't, you just end up getting and it's like a vent as well that some thing can crawl in and try and get you that way. It's a very strange one, but I had fun with it. Yeah, I had fun with it. I think it's if you like that kind of weird deduction-y, a sort of grimy dystopian deduction kind of style game, you probably get decent fun out of it. It was very engaging to the point that when you start playing something and then you get so engaged by it, you just realise that the world is just faded out around you. I got that quite a bit with this when I was properly really into it, properly paying attention and being like, oh right, okay, well this is that, and then I realised I was completely not paying attention to anything else. So yeah, I would genuinely say that this is an interesting one, and if you like the kind of again, if you like even more dystopic papers, please. There's not really papers in it, but there's more kind of they say this, they say, oh, they've got a pain tolerance, and then you give them a sort of sample zap and they immediately start crying. You're like, right, that's probably not right. It's one of those things that makes me kind of genuinely wonder how fucked my pain is.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it's almost like a bunch of classical psychological experiments thrown together by the looks of things and sounds of it.
Yeah. But yeah, weird one. Had fun with it. Would definitely recommend. Next is one that I'm sure you will probably appreciate, which is Nightmare Kart, formerly known as Bloodborne Kart.
Oh yes, I didn't realise this had actually been released.
Yes, it's out on Steam. It's free. It's basically Bloodborne and as a N64 style kart racer. I can't really say anything else about it because it's basically just every mission is inspired by Bloodborne. And it's just fun to play through. It's not that hard as well. I'm not good at racing games and I managed to finish it. So, yeah. I would definitely say if you are a fan of either Bloodborne or Kart or N64 Kart mission kind of thing. Give it a go. Yeah, it was fun.
No, it does look surprising. I remember the trailer obviously getting a lot of attention, and it's funny how polished the final product appears
Oh
to be.
yeah, they apparently had to change name, and that was about as far as they had to do. Next we have the Happy Hills Homicide. This is kind of a sort of, it's like a little puzzle game where you're playing as a murderer trying to kill the target in a certain way. It's kind of just such a weird little game. I also don't understand why this one's free. It's basically kind of like you have a little puzzle and you're going like, oh, I need to kill these people, but I can't be seen by this or that, so I need to use this part of the environment to do this and that and the other. It's got just some nice little touches, and if you're a fan of horror in general, you'll probably really enjoy it because it's got like little touches of like, you know, this reference to that film and this reference to that film. And it's got a lot of game to it as well. I played like an hour and a bit. Basically, Evil Clown Hitman, kind of, yeah. Again, it was just really fun to play through. It has a little bit of the comedy ultra-violence, but again, if you're fine with most kind of like that kind of style, you'll be fine with it. It doesn't really make much difference. But it's a good chunk of levels in it. It's a good reference all the way through. Everything's like sort of little scenario. It's kind of like a sort of Lemmings meets Scribblenauts kind of thing. Because you're kind of just going in and being like, every little mission is like, oh, you do this little bit, that little bit. And then there are some missions where you play as a detective and have to notice shit as it goes on. But as I said, it's got a bit of comedy, ultra-violence to it, but it was actually really good. And I'm really surprised that it's free. Because this is the kind of game that I would probably be happy paying, like, even up, like, I want to say like £5, but yeah, a genuine price for it because it was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, another case where it looks very polished and it's got a unique kind of style about it.
On the note of games that I expected to be terrible, we had Don't Drop the Cake Prologue. This game I expected to be like a little meme game and terrible. I think the main game is either out soon or out thing, but this was actually had a lot more mechanics going on to it than just keep a tray still, and was just actually had a couple of good ideas. And I just wanted to highlight the fact it has some good ideas and it might actually be a really good game. So yeah, it sounds really simple and sounds really like, oh, you're just dodging, doing this one thing, but it's basically you're playing a horror game while trying to keep your mouse as balanced as possible. It's a very strange mechanic, but it works really well.
I like the look of that insofar as I could see expanding things, like having a Jenga-like tower at some point, like throw extra things on there. There could be some weird stuff gameplay-wise that you could do with that.
Yeah. Right, we'll rattle through a couple more of these before we decide it. Right, this is a roguelike first-person, it's a student game, should I say first. It's a roguelike first-person shooter. Basically, you get a gun, you go in, you blast the fuck out of whatever the mission is, then you go into a side room, you choose your roguelike thing, and then you do the next one, and then you choose your roguelike thing, and then you do the last one. It's only like 3-4 levels in a row, because it's a student game. But it was genuinely just a lot of fun. Was this one a student game? I'm pretty sure it was. Yes, it's a student game. But yeah, it's it is a bit limited, but it was just fun. And it's kind of rare that I play as many FPS as you can just see the sort of gun style there. But yeah, it's sort of roguelike FPS game, and it was pretty fun for what it was.
That looks like it's got a pretty heavy HR Giga kind of vibe going with the visuals. Lots of fleshy, bony structures and all that kind of stuff. I like Alien.
Then we did Forever Space First Person Edition. This is just a little short narrative game about being a Greg and going to space. That's all that really happens. You are a man called Greg who goes to space, and that story happens. It was an enjoyable story, and it was just literally something else that I would just like to add to the list of, if you're looking for a sort of small narrative game to try out, give it a go. It plays in about an hour and a bit, just over an hour. Yep, just over an hour, and yeah, it was fun. There's not really much else to say about that. It's just something to say in passing. Then we get In the Night We Had Bad Dreams, which was a very good game. This was a PT style clone. I think there was a particular order you had to tag things in, if I remember right, for this one. But there's just genuine. You know when you play a game and you can feel that there's actually had quite a lot of love and attention put into what they're doing. That was this game. This is just there. Admittedly, there's a maze section that was really awkward, but everything else this game does was very good. It has some rough edges, but you can tell that whoever made this has a very decent love of horror games and knows what they're trying to make out of this, and it's genuinely worth picking up. If you're a fan of like the sort of PT style horror, yeah, definitely look at this one. It is very good. We have one last free game, and then we're on to things. I will try and rattle through this last one. Last one is Mr. Pompey's Extravagant Quiz. If you're a fan of Pony Island, you will probably recognise the style. It's not from the same people, it's from somewhere completely different, but it's a little quiz game. Admittedly, the questions are a little bit more Americana. There's things like, you know, who was the sixth president and stuff like that, where you're like, what? You know,
I don't fucking know.
I'm not going to know. But it does that kind of, the mask starts slipping, things start getting fucked up. I just kind of really enjoyed it. And while it's very much that if you like quiz games, if you like quiz games and you like the sort of weird fucked up narrative kind of stuff, like the mask starts slipping and everything starts going a bit weird. It does that thing as well where the game will close itself and then you go, oh, you have to reopen the game to go further. So yeah, it does that. But I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was something very different, and that's something I would definitely say is worth looking up. If only it wasn't so like, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that if I could have people helping me with the questions, it probably would have gone a lot easier. But yeah, I think it's genuine. If you like little quiz games, and you like things like, as I said, sort of Pony Island, where things is it Pony Island where things just start getting more and more fucked up as it goes on. The mask starts slipping, and it's just like, oh, there's something dark here. Oh.
I'm installing it right now because this sounds very interesting to me, and the look of it. Yeah.
It plays as a like little window on your desktop, but it has that kind of like, it will randomly become full screen and randomly become different sizes and stuff. It's kind of fucked up, but yeah, if you like this kind of thing, you'll probably love it. It's kind of fucked up, but I love it. I have a lot of time for this one, and I think a lot more people should give it a try. It was something that I didn't expect to get around to, and I did, and genuinely it's worth a mention at the end of the year list. So, that is all the free games. We'll very quickly do actual games of the year worth picking up. So, the first one we got was from last year, I believe. Yeah, this is Silen House, 2022. This one looks really fucked, and you're like, I don't really understand what's going on here. This is very much it's a find items to solve puzzles game. So, kind of like Rusty Lake. But has decent puzzles all the way through. It has that kind of interesting thing. It does have a hint button for when you really can't work out what the fuck it's wanting you to do. There are one or two points that are genuinely lost in translation, but for the variety of it, it's very, very good. Admittedly, it's like at the moment it's 60p, so I can't really fault that. But it's it's usually it says usually £5. It drops ridiculously cheap a lot of the time. Doesn't even say it's till then, it's just crazy. But yeah, for a game that has some decent puzzles to it, especially at 90p at the moment, it's definitely worth picking up. It's very good. Very, very good. As I said, it does have something that lost in translation and problems like that, but yeah, you cannot fault that for the price. Next we have one I'm sure you have. You can take the lead on this one. Slay the Princess.
Oh, I've played Slay the Princess. Holy
there
shit.
we go. You can tell us why Slay the Princess is great.
So, Slay the Princess is a narrative choice-based game. One of these ones where you're on an endless loop, seemingly, and you're tasked with slaying the princess, which surely is an easy thing to do. But the game throws all kinds of little narrative twists at you, and I've not gone like 100% of the way through it. I did do it. I played since the update, because there was a big update to it this year.
Big update this year, yeah.
That added a ton of extra endings, and kind of where there were gaps, let's say, previously, where you could kind of get yourself into a corner and then narrative-wise it would kind of go, all right, we're going to force you back on the main path again now because you've gone into a corner that we can't get you out of. it kind of filled those in with a lot of new endings, so you could just keep going further on that. So yeah, I would rate Slay the Princess pretty damn highly, to be honest. I do feel like it gets a little repetitive towards the end of like the run, if only because they could have done a little bit more with maybe twisting the beginning, because you do experience the beginning many, many times. And it could have done with maybe one or two more sort of like, when you're on loop 4 or 5, add something extra in there would have been a nice thing. But otherwise, no complaints.
Yeah. It's genuinely sound. Generally, if you love narrative storytelling, you'll love it. It's fantastic. Genuinely fantastic game. Going back to games that are so fucking obscure that I did play this year. Press X and not die. The part of me that loves cheap indie horror, like indie horror films, indie horror games, loves this because it's entirely just taped video with weird QTE events and storytelling things, and it's like I think I played it for a 1000 game thing, and it's like 60p. It's fucking good. It's if you love the kind of like stupid indie horror, you will love it. Yes, it's QTEs, and I know that's not everyone's jam, but it's stupid shit, and I loved it. I cannot not recommend it after playing it this year.
It's so reminiscent of kind of early CD-ROM games and that kind of stuff, and it's clearly like got its tongue in its cheek. It knows what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Next, we have the one other game that escaped in the in last year's being played between the last year's Game of the Years and the end of the year last year, which was Locked. This is a sort of side-scrolling 2D game. It's basically a find items to do shit game. There is Friendo, you can see here, has a big hammer. Friendo does lose his clothes at one point and does indeed wander around naked.
Lovely.
But it is basically just a little find items to do puzzle game. It's pretty damn cheap, and it was fun to play through. You're basically trying to escape this house, and it's got that kind of like nice horror style, where you do have that kind of I guess final girl energy. But yeah, it is good. And as I said, it's $2. If you like the look of it, give it a go. It's genuinely a good little game. Alright, so we're now on to games from this year, and I have to start with the one I have not shut up about to people since I played it, which is Resonance Chain. This is the best game I've ever played.
Damn, that's high praise.
This game as I've always said on TTO, that you can use store-bought assets if you use them well. I've always said on TTO that you can use if you basically take your time and you basically go into everything, and you can use store-bought assets. That's fine. If you understand atmosphere and sound effects, you can make something fantastic. And even if you're going to do like a PT clone, if you understand what you're doing, and you understand all these things, and you get that echolocation can work with horror in the right way, and if you do all of those in the same way, you get the best game I've ever played, which is Resonance Chain. Only plays in like 15 minutes as well, and the problem is it doesn't really have much of a replayability factor to it, because it's basically like the story, you go through the story once, that's you kind of done. There's not really anything else to do it, which is kind of one of those things that makes me genuinely quite sad. But as far as getting everything right, understanding your atmosphere, understanding what you're making, understanding that you can take what's available to you and just make something genuinely great from literally like shot-bought assets and stuff like that. That people go, oh, you can't make a good game with that. Yes, you can. Just do something with it that makes it feel like they're all part of the game. They don't just stand out as you don't look and go, like the number of times I start games now and I go, oh, there's that bath with the dolphin shower curtain that you see in every game. That's in this game, but you don't notice it because it's blended so well into it by the style of the game. And genuinely fucking love this, and I will genuinely recommend it to everybody. As I said, it only plays in like 20 minutes. It plays longer if you play through it a second time just to make sure you didn't miss anything. But yeah, genuinely recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. Then we get on to Dracula Awakens, which is a game about you're basically wandering around Dracula's castle with a camera, because you're a reporter and you're Dracula's assistant, I believe. Um, you're wandering around. You basically use your camera to destroy ghosts and bats by taking pictures of them, and you explore around. There's little puzzles and things to do. Puzzles aren't overly complicated, but they're enough to make you kind of go and then go with it rather than just being a sort of simple thing. But yeah, it's fun. It's only $3. Yeah, give it a go.
Nice.
Yeah. Then we've got A Night at the Farm, which again is on sale at the moment. Go for it. This is another find items to do things game. You're wandering around a farm because your car's crashed, and you're basically you find this farm nearby, and you go, oh, well, I need some help. So you just explore around. You find keys like under rocks, and you start opening more and more of it up, and you start finding audio cassettes that tell you the weird shit that's been going on. And yeah, it just worked really well. There was a weird multiple choice questionnaire at one point, which I'm not really sure why was there. But apart from that, decent story. One of the better find item games I've played. Yeah, recommend.
Cool.
So I feel like I'm just talking at you now, man.
No, it's all good. I'm here to assist.
Yes.
Is my feeling. I'll weigh in when I've got anything pertinent to say.
Okay. Lazarette is a find items to use items game. We'll do this one, then I'll have to do the ads. Lazarette is a find items to use items game. Basically, you're in this abandoned ship trying to basically get out of it. The ship's reappeared after 30 years of being disappeared, and you've been like, what is actually going on here? So you're looking around it, and it's like doing little puzzle games going around. There are statues that sort of scream at you when they grab you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do any damage, they just scream at you. So, yeah, and there's a big friendo to hide from. But it feels... there's a good sort of organic sort of wandering around trying to genuinely find items to escape this one. It takes like 4 or 5 hours to play through.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of really good atmosphere and story in this one. It's about $6 as well. Well, on sale at $6, it's usually £9. But yeah, it's I genuinely would say it's one of the better ones that's come out, and it was a lot of fun to play through. Can we do the next one before ads? Oh, we possibly can. Bloody Ink is the next one. Bloody Ink is a this is one that it's another find items game, which you'll notice I play a lot of. The big gimmick with this one is that the character needs to stay in the light or they go mad. So you need to have lights and candles and stuff which you need to find, but again, candles respawn really quickly. The item to save respawns really quickly as well. The puzzles that you have to go through are there, but they do feel quite well explained. And some of them are literally like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then later on you'll find like a note that says, oh, this is what you do for that, and you go, oh, right, cool. That's what you go back for and do it. They do chain together quite well. You do seem to know where you're going, like here to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, there. There is I think there's something to do with the microphone in this game, but I can't remember exactly what it was. The story is kind of weird. It's about time paradoxes, which is also kind of weird thing. But the game itself is just genuinely fun. The stories are pretty good. It was fun to play through. I would recommend it. Again, plays about 4 hours. There is a demo involved in this game as well, which actually gives you another sort of side story that you can play.
Okay.
In the game itself, which is also weird, but yeah, it was a genuinely fun little one to get through. I would probably say it is definitely one of the best I've played this year. As I said, it's currently $4, down from 9. Jesus Christ, I didn't realize it was that expensive. But yeah, I said when it drops this price, more than worth picking up. Genuinely solid game, solid game. Oh, this might have been one that had the don't make noise motions as well. But yeah, as I said, it's definitely worth time. It's a very good game. But we're going to have to go to the ad screen, I feel.
Okie doke.
So let me just bring the ad screen up. But yes, that's us rattled through the first chunk of games. Hopefully we can rattle through the rest relatively quickly, and hopefully we won't keep Mr. Eden too long.
Well, we'll get going when we get going. A decent number of folks that will be in the chat right now are going to be joining us for Jackbox soon enough. So, as and when we wrap up, we'll all just shift over.
Yeah. I will try and get through these as quick as I can, so that we can get to that relatively on time. But as I said, because I played 705 games this year, it's very difficult to just make a sort of like, oh, here's 10 games that were good.
Well, I'm glad that there was a bunch of decent ones in the mix. You'd hope so.
God, yeah,
with
there's some
sample size that big.
Yeah, there's some very, very good ones. I think pretty much everyone I'm recommending, at least the sort of priced ones, are all very good. Some of the free ones I do recommend because the concept is good. The concept is very sound, and some of them were like student games that had a really good concept, and obviously they can't sell them because they're being submitted as this is our final project kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they can't sell them, but they can put them on Steam.
Well, hopefully it gets them some attention and they get to develop those concepts, because trying to find angles that are unique in games these days, especially if you're going to do things that are based around, which really has to be based in a certain amount of reality.
Yeah.
It tends to feel like everything's been done, but there are unusual avenues to take and weird stories to find. It's just that, they're in a big haystack full of the same old shit.
Yeah. Let's bring the next one up. We're ready for start.
Oh damn, that's a hell of an image.
It is. This one understood horror atmosphere. This one actually understood horror atmosphere. Really dig it. Really dig it. Because you know me, I'm very big on atmosphere in games. Atmosphere and character, I think, are my two things that I'm the most sort of like sucker for.
I'm just looking up the quote. It's referencing with the title. Okay, curious.
Which was it?
Not a word from their mouth can be trusted. Their heart is filled with malice. Their throat an open grave. With their tongues they tell lies. That's Psalm 5:9. It's a solid biblical reference right there.
Yeah. Oh, you can find everything in the Bible if you look hard enough, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of
all
weird
kinds
shit
of
in there.
bizarre depravity.
Oh dear. Right. But I think we're about halfway through the list itself, but again, we did start like 7 minutes in, so we will try and rattle through everything else, and then we'll get on to the terrible ones. Oh god, the terrible ones.
I'm curious to know just how bad the worst could be.
Oh man, some of them.
I mean, are we talking bad in terms of just execution, or are we talking bad like it crashed constantly and barely worked?
Well, if games crash, usually I'm more lenient.
Mm-hmm.
If a game constantly crashes, if like there's one that crashed a bunch of times that I think I put in because I was actually really enjoying it, but it kept crashing, and that's worse for me than a game that just randomly crashes.
Mm-hmm.
If a game just load up and it just crashes, I'm just like, well, it's forgettable. Well, that's it. That's us back. So let us jump back to. So yes, the next one is Psalm 5:9-13. This game understood horror atmosphere. This game very much understood horror atmosphere, and I genuinely had a lot of fun with this one. It is kind of anomaly sputter in a way, but it's much more. There's an object in the room that you need to interact with, and that when you interact with that, it moves the story on. Kind of like the old Emika games used to be before they all became really fucking weird. But no, this one was genuinely very, very good. I understood atmosphere, I understood tension, I understood how to make a game actually feel creepy. It was very short though. I played just under an hour, but it was good. Genuinely, was very good. I think it's like £2 at the moment. It goes up. It's usually 4. It's not expensive. If you like horror, give it a go. Next we have Absolute Fear. Absolute Fear was it's a sort of puzzle game. Again, it's down 70% right now. Pick it up. This is a game that had you are avoiding a friendo, if I remember right, that chases you, and it's a puzzle game. You need to basically get to the safe and open the safe. You can sometimes have to go find a key, sometimes find a combination lock. It's different every time, and while friendo that does chase you, if I remember, this is the one that looked basically like a sort of blue gummy bear version of Alan Rickman in Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, you do have some of the levels. You go, oh, this is the same layout as before. What the fuck's going on? But yeah, because Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 use the same maps, but they have the layout is different.
Okay.
So it is a little bit reusing, but at least it's reusing in a different way to make everything different again. Oh, this one. Yeah, this one was quite good. It's got good respawn checkpoints. If you get caught while holding the exit key, you just go back to the last checkpoint while still holding the exit key. You don't lose it as well, so it doesn't have that exhausting or frustrating feeling that a lot of like stealth games have. But yeah, it's a stealth game that I played for 5 hours. I don't usually play stealth games for more than like 2 or 3 without getting really sick of them.
Yeah.
There he is. There's a giant gummy friend. But yeah, this was a really quite good little puzzle game with more of a stealth aspect, but it was still really good. Then we get to the SCP game, which was SCP Descent. Again, these are on sale. This was a kind of bizarre one. This is like this is a never-ending stairwell with SCP. It has rooms and puzzles and voice recordings that you'd want to go with, that are all really quite well done. There's a different like variety of friendos that are there, if I remember it, who will just jump out at you, really, because that's what they do. You do have to like crouch past them. There's some good puzzles in it. 1 or 2 are not explained the best, but because I think the game wants you to use the game hint system rather than just do it all yourself. But it's genuinely been a lot of fun. It was genuinely quite a lot of fun playing through it, and it's currently $3. Definitely worth it for that. Yeah, there's not really much else I can say, but yeah, it was generally pretty good.
Good stuff.
Then we get on to Mr. Scientist. Mr. Scientist again, down cheap, currently at £1.24. This was a game about this is the one with the fucking EDM obsessed madman that you have to try and escape from. You find items. It's a find keys, find items game. Basically, friend is trying to catch you. You do have the usual, like if you get caught, you have like six lives to do it, where a friend will put you back in the room. I do believe you keep stuff between runs. But after your first one, friend starts putting bear traps down, so you just avoid them, or again get caught by them and thing. You can throw. I think if this is the one you can throw items into it, and it does weird shit. But yeah, there's a lot of. This has a very good one more go feel to it with it, because you get quite a lot of lives on every run. There is genuinely quite a lot of good stuff to it. You need to avoid lasers at one point because lasers are always there to be more dangerous than friendo. But yeah, then there's the house you start in, and then you kind of descend below the house into this like weird lab, and there's just loads of keys, codes, tools, switches, all that kind of stuff. It has a good sense of achievement for actually finishing this one, which is a lot harder to find in these kind of games.
Looks like there's a little bit more skill-based stuff here.
Yeah, it takes quite a while to get through it. I mean, this took an hour and a half to get through, but it's only usually it's £2.50. It's really not expensive. this was a genuinely quite a good one. Although, as I said, the graphics are not fantastic. It's still it's just a lot of good little aspects to it, and there's a lot of things to start and do, and the world just continues opening and opening and opening the more little bits you find. And yeah, genuinely just good little game. Give it a try. And we go from that to probably the most I can remember how to spell it. It's amygdala. Probably the most I guess gory one. But it's more kind of like the gore's just sort of lying around. It's kind of body horror style, but it's much just sort of like it's just there, rather than actually being, you know, a person is injured or anything. It's just kind of like the wall is now this massive tentacles or massive intestines. It's kind of bizarre in that way, but again, it's a sort of find keys, find items game. It has almost Visage energy. If you remember, people were going mad over Visage a couple of whiles ago. Yeah, it plays about 2 hours. It's just genuinely fun. It's quite good at, you know, you do this, and now you go here, and now you go there, and now you go there. It's kind of quite good at the breadcrumbing you quite well to where you're meant to go, which a lot of games, especially this kind of thing, really struggle with. But yeah, genuinely really good game. If you, I know that the art style will definitely not appeal to everyone, because it is quite gory and it is quite
Oh, it's definitely grotesque.
yeah, grotesque, fleshy, yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, genuinely quite good. Genuinely quite a good little game. Usually it's about £7, £6, £5.89. So that's usually about what, $7, something like that. Yeah, decent game, worth picking up. Then we got one that was slightly. Is it Ginkgo? I think that one. Yes, that one. I think it was this one. I think it's this one. So yeah, this was one with. This was a really good little puzzle game. If I'm thinking of the right one, I need to check I'm thinking of the right one just to be sure I've got the right one here. Because if I don't, and I don't know how common the name is. Yes, it's this one. Yes, it's this one. But yeah, this had a good little puzzle game. This was puzzle game meets jump scares. Now, I loved it because it had a lot of really nice, genuine puzzle things to it that were like, oh, that one's quite good, that one's quite good. The puzzles aren't always. Sorry, there's not that many puzzles for what you're playing through. For a £5 game, it's fine. It's plays in about 2.5 hours. But the jump scares, I can tell, would put someone like Darren off. Because although it's got some good puzzles and some good little elements, the jump scares are actually quite. Oh no, I wouldn't say they're like quite effective, but they're a bit more sudden than in a lot of other games. And I know that someone like Darren, you'd have to scrape Darren off the ceiling after playing this, even though he'd probably really love the puzzles. So yeah, it's an interesting concept of a game. It's one not I don't see that many people talking about it, but it should be really interesting, and I think it's worth people looking at. All right. Next we have one that I really liked, but a lot of people don't seem to, which is Amber Alert. Which again, is on sale. Basically, this game is you're a cop, and you're trying to basically clear, like you're responding to sort of late night calls about houses, and you're basically going in with your pistol and you getting attacked by a bunch of friendos. It's just got that nice kind of reactionary. You hear a sort of shing, and you've got like a couple of seconds to like go, where the fuck's the guy with the knife coming from that's trying to attack me? It's just there's lots of nice little elements for trying to get through it. It's somewhat jump scare reaction QTE in a way, because there are a lot of blind corners. And friendos do insta kill you if they do reach you, so you do have to keep your distance from them. But for a sort of little like find the keys, find the items sort of little puzzle game where you go around, the items do move around as well, which is also really good because, you know, between runs you don't always go, well, I'm going there, then I'm going there, then I'm going there. It's I need to still look around to find this thing, to find that thing, to do this, to do that, to do, to do. And for atmosphere and horror, it was genuinely one of the most fun things we played. It has a fucking wall of a difficulty to it, though. It was not the easiest game to play. Because it's like you'll have one run where you'll be like, oh, I'm really good at this. This is fine. Then your next one, you'll get like ruffle stomped into the floor.
Yeah.
It's literally just that kind of style.
Pretty random then.
Yeah, but I had fun with that. But you know me, I'm a masochist with these things. I kind of I love a game that challenges me sometimes. And yeah, I thought I had fun with it. And as I said, it's down to $2. It's worth it for $2. Let's see. Then we have one that I have recommended a lot to people because I think if you're any kind of fan of SCP stuff, you will love this, and it's Home Safety Hotline. Home Safety Hotline is a game basically about being in a call center, being called about this thing's bothering me, can you work out what it is? And it starts off being things like rats and wasps, and then descends into things like boggarts, and other such weird shit, and I would genuinely say it's just a blast to play through. It's it's got a DLC as well now, which I have, and it's fun. It's got a little seasonal Christmassy one as well, and it's just fun and genuinely a lot of fun. Would recommend it wholeheartedly.
That looks like a lamb.
Yeah. The next one is a one we played recently, When the Devil Takes Hold. Again, it's one that's let me just bring my notes up. So this one, you're a dude that's going around. You're a paranormal investigator going to look at a house for haunted evidence. The sort of story of this one is kind of terrible because you're going in, you're there with your friend Brian. Brian basically gets kidnapped at one point, and your honest character response is, "Huh, well, I'm going to bed." It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of stupid, but it just has so much. There's just something about it that understood atmosphere, that understood storytelling. The jump scares felt spread out and unpredictable, so they weren't just like every corner you go around is just blah, and blah, and blah. It actually felt like it was being it was just like actual naturally occurring. So you were never really desensitized to it. I had a lot of fun with it. It was just, again, did a lot of things right. And in a year where we've played a lot of games that did a lot of things wrong, some games do a lot of things right, definitely should get noticed. And I think that was a very good little game. Then we have our standard overhead shooter, which is Containment Breach. If I can find it. Oh, that's a free game. That should be in the free game pile. Apologies. But yes, this is another one. Or you go around, you're top down. You're shooting zombies. The zombies appear in waves. You earn points from shooting zombies that you can use to buy better guns, buy gun upgrades, and then you're trying to basically just get out of the facility. It's just surprisingly decent combat. It's got a lot of variety to it with all the weapons you can unlock. It's got a very good one more go energy, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
It's very reminiscent of Loaded, if you remember that.
I know what you mean, yeah. But the monsters start getting bigger the longer they go on, and yeah, everything starts getting more and more weird, and genuinely had a lot of fun with it. Let me try and get the next one. Inner Darkness, again, this one's on sale. £20. This was a monochrome game where colour sort of started coming into it more and more as it went on. Had simple puzzles and it was very kind of like, I guess kind of like Bendy in the Dark Revival kind of style, art style. Most of it was straightforward. There was one or two bits where it did crash on us again, but again, it was more kind of a little sort of first-person puzzle game, and yeah, just genuinely just had fun with it. It was good. My brain is kind of not remembering this one as well as other ones, but this one was a lot of fun. It was again just kind of like a little sort of first-person puzzle game where you're just going through, and everything starts as monochrome, and it just starts becoming more and more We like that point that's referencing right there is what we had to reload because we didn't have the key for that, and the key was further back. That bit annoyed me. Apart from that, everything else was good with it. Then we get on to our usual something's fuckery going on, which is one socket. You have one plug point and many things that need your plug point. What do you do? It's a puzzle game about having to manage having a single plug that you can turn on. That means your lights, that means your generator, that means everything. It's fucking daft, and I loved it, and I had a lot of fun playing it. And I probably would sink far more hours into it than I have done. But yeah, it's little things like it's all just a little puzzle game, but you're trying to just balance fuckery while you're doing it. And yeah, it was genuinely a lot of fun. And if you kind of like that kind of doing puzzles while juggling things like the fan, the generator, the siren sound that keeps certain friends away, that kind of stuff, yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant little game. Let's try and rattle through the rest of these so I'm not. Echoes of Dread was
No.
This was another find items to find things game. The second half of the game does have a friendo that does chase you, but for the most part, it's a story of like it's your protagonist. It's about your kid, your husband, his secretary. The story is basically what you can expect it to be. You'll not have any problem predicting the story, which is told in findable letters. But it's all about like there's certain things that you need to light candles, and if you sign this candle's friend can't eat you. But it's all about just finding little items and working your way through it. And for just genuine little fine little items, work your way through it game, it was very solid and very worth your time. The respawn points are really genuinely quite fair, so you're not having to do too much again when you get caught. But yeah, a lot of good stuff with it. Genuinely is on my end of year recommendation list. Then we've got Locomotive 115, which I can only really just tell you is you're trying to make a train go. It's basically Iron Lung, only instead of going between location to location, you're just trying to keep a train going while creatures are trying to attack you. So you need to like sound the horn to get rid of some of them, use the shotgun to blast some of them off the thing, use the shotgun to blast the signal turns so you make the turns don't fall off the rails. It's a little like keep the engine running and hopefully you survive game, and it was fun. Can't really say much more than that. Pick it up if you like the idea of it. It was very fun. Move on. We're into the final handful, which are ones I played the other day on stream. First we'll start with Dolmare. Dolmare was great. It's a little game about basically like working in a factory, trying to spot problems with dolls while everything begins to start getting fuckery around you. Every day brings another little thing you have to deal with. Like, it starts off by being like, oh, just check they have this, check they have that. And then it starts going things like, oh, now you need to x-ray the dolls because some of them might have like giant spiders inside them. And some days it's like, oh, now you have to like check them for UV paint. And then sometimes you just get them and it's things like, oh yeah, this fucked up doll is going to randomly start twitching at you and looking at you very strange. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It has two endings. We could have got the second ending if we hadn't realised we'd fucked up halfway along. But yeah, it's a fun little game. It has that kind of like, starts off doing a simple task and everything starts getting more and more weird going on. If you like the look of it, you'll probably love it. It's a great little game.
Creepy dolls are a good angle.
Then we will very quickly mention Buckshot Roulette, which, as I said, Mike Klubnica is a fantastic dev. I love all of his stuff. He's the one that did the Unsorted game earlier. Basically, it's a game about playing Russian roulette with a shotgun and things. It's got a multiplayer update recently that apparently makes it just hilariously playable with friends. It looks like it's a lot of fucking fun. It's just stupid and ultraviolet, and I fucking love it. It's also had the double or nothing patch, where basically means that your first round is easy. because you're always playing against the dealer, and if things like you've got to try and decide if you're shooting yourself or the dealer, and if you have a blank and you shoot yourself, you get another turn immediately. If the dealer shoots themselves, I think they also get turns in certain ways as well, and it starts. The main game itself is not too difficult, but when you go to the double unearthing side, the dealer actually begins to take it seriously, and it's just so much fucking better. There's just a lot going on with it, and it's just a lot of fun. It's the kind of if you like that kind of weird, here's all these little tools you can do to affect how the game goes. Yeah, it's nuts, and I fucking loved it.
A little bit reminiscent of just on visual style of Inscription.
Mm. Oh
Which,
yeah.
Playing that recently, and yeah, that's probably why it's coming to mind. But
all right, right. Well, next we go on to the last really good game of the year, which is Crowded Followed. This is It Follows, the horror game. If you're familiar with It Follows, the film.
Mm-hmm.
Only instead of being an STD thing that people are terrified of, you find this briefcase, and you have to try and get away from this rather tall friendo that no one else can see, while you have asthma and can't run for too long.
Oh dear.
It just has really nice mechanic of an actual social anxiety game, where you're in a room full of people and you're just trying to get past them and work your way through the crowds, and yeah, it genuinely has an actual proper sense of psychological horror to it, and I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's genuinely one of the best games I've played this year. It's from, I think it's the Irish, had support from one of the Irish film committees or something like that, if I remember. It was some kind of support from there, but yeah, it's literally this random little game that's had support from I think it was Irish government.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept with solid execution.
If you like It Follows as a film, you will like this as a game. It's just again something I've never seen before, something completely different concept, and it was very good, very very good. All right, well, we have a couple more of just thing, and then we're on to terrible ones. A couple of quick honorary mentions. This 11F. This is a game about trying to get to the 11th floor when the building only goes up to 9 floors.
Mm-hmm.
It's another find keys and items to get around game. It had some good elements to it. It wasn't fantastic, but it had a lot of good elements to it, and they would get a sort of light mention at the end of the year as a sort of potential thing. Then another quick one to mention is Fear the Moon. This one is another find items game. It has 3 sort of chapters to it. The first chapter is kind of weird. You're in a forest and doing stuff. The 3rd and 4th chapter were kind of just The second chapter is where this game shines. The second chapter is very very strong. But basically you're avoiding a friendo who is a werewolf, and you're just trying to go around and find things and kind of sort everything else while avoiding his sort of gallivanting around as you would do if you had a giant werewolf living in your house. Mm-hmm. You can lose friendo just by diving under a table, so it has some very rough edges, but I guess at least a sort of very light recommend for the end of the year. It's not perfect, but it's got a very solid second act, so yeah, would have that as a light recommend from there. Then we have Last Farewell. Last Farewell is this is another find items game, which you'll probably tell I really love find items games when they're told well. This one is very much inspiration from the Twilight Zone. Basically, it's there's been a car accident and everything kind of falls around from there. Everything does feel like it really blends well together, intertwines. There is a friendo to avoid as you go along. They don't really, the friendo doesn't really do much. I think they just kind of wander. They just sort of stand and sort of not really do much. Maybe that's just our run through. But yeah, you kind of walk around looking for items. There's crucifixes on the wall that can heal you. Yeah, there was some really good things. This one is the one. The reason this is a sort of light recommend rather than a proper recommend is this one crashed, and when this one crashed, it took out Steam.
Oh damn!
This was a proper like heavy crash when this crashed, and it crashed one or two times, and then it had one heavy crash. And when it has heavy crash, usually I pull it right down and say, "Nah, that's it, kind of done." But I loved everything else this game did. It had a good idea of storytelling. It was fun for the rest of the way, but it did crash. So it's that kind of like suggestion with a massive hint of salt that it might not be as good for everyone else because they might not have a good time with it. We have 4 left of the kind of weird ones that just missed the proper recommend list. Next one is Neptune Island. This is basically a very short puzzle game. If you like the kind of like sort of like Riven style puzzles, it's very much on that kind of style. There's only like 5 puzzles in the game, but you're wandering around trying to do it, and then everything goes a bit fucky. But it's fun. It's if you like just a little puzzle game, it's 84p. It's dirt cheap, and it's more than worth your time. Next in the games I feel like I have to say for the end of the year because I loved it so much is My Bloody Weekend 2. This is another video game where you're playing as the protagonist and you're doing QTEs trying not to get killed by the killer. It's like $2. It's stupid. If you like your indie horror, you'll probably love it. It's fucking stupid and I loved it. I loved it very, very much. I think it takes 25 minutes to get through every single ending and every single way things can happen. Like if you survive and die every single QTE that can actually have a difference, it takes 25 minutes to play through absolutely everything. But yeah, it's stupid and I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, good times.
Then we're on to Slot Waste, which is a very bizarre game, which is basically like a fucking fever dream. And this is entirely the game. Just weird shit happening.
Okay.
For like half an hour. And it's just like 10 little mini games, one after the other, with this kind of like almost absurdist art style. And yeah, as a sort of little art game, it was great. It's just like this little kind of fucked up little art game. And it's under $2, and it will basically just amuse you for as long as you want to keep going with it. But it does loop round and go to the beginning again. And you'll see like this, it just kind of rotates and then just moves to the next section. And then the sort of little puzzle style thing just starts again and goes from there. And it's just such a strange little game. But I would definitely say it is worth having a look at if you like something a bit different.
Yeah, it looks very odd.
And finally, if I can find it, I think it's that. Yes, finally we have this one. If you're a streamer and like playing words on stream, this is a game basically where you and a Twitch integrated chat can play Hangman. Or variations thereof. And the way to do it is you're trying to save your family, which are the 3 people who have been captured and put on screens behind. So yeah, it's a stupid little thing, but if you do that kind of like want something different on stream and you are a streamer, and if you want to just basically just try and involve your chat playing Hangman with something a bit dark and fucked up, it's a little bit ultraviolet, a little bit fucking weird, but again, it's something different, and I think it's like $4. It's not expensive. Yeah, but yeah, that's Disorder. That's the last thing to get mentioned. At least on the good side.
Oh, and now we see the bad.
Now we see the so bad they're good as we descend into the. There's 5 games I think on the so bad they're good. 4 games, sorry. First one's Finding Anastasia. This motherfucking game. So, your ex-girlfriend emails you to say you were kidnapped. She was kidnapped years ago. You find a plethora of her stuff. You find things like, oh, it's Anastasia's mug. It's Anastasia's favourite candy. Then God tries to strike you with lightning. A giant mushroom with an AI voice tries to tell you what to do. And then, all the while, the mascot from Disturbed tries to eat your soul. It's fucking terrible. It's so fucking stupid. I had such a laugh with it though. It's just so fucking stupid. But I genuinely found myself pissing myself laughing through it. I don't know how much of it was a fever dream at the time, but either which way, it's getting us something so bad it's good recommendation at the end of the year, because it was just such a fucking weird ass game.
It sounds it.
Yeah, it was such a fucking weird ass game. Then we have Silhouettes. Now, Silhouettes looks like a normal visual novel. This game has been so badly translated that everything just becomes a complete fucking joke.
Oh, God.
It says it's meant to be part 1 of a 6-part series. If that continue, I will play the rest of them, because they have multiple choices, they have endings, but there is a single choice in the entire game. One thing that does a different path, everything else is exactly the same. The art style and the translations alone just make you just giggle like an idiot. They are just nonsensical, and it just makes no fucking sense. And it's if you want something just to play to lighten the mood, but how badly translated it is from what it's trying to do, go fucking this game. It's like it's that £1. It's just it's just there's not really a game here. It's just something to giggle at that costs you £1. Then we move on to Evil Seal. Oh, Evil Seal.
Inspired by the Book of Revelation. This
is a shooter that's inspired by the Book of Revelations. It's robotic voices. The acting is hilariously awful. It's so bad it's actually kind of fun to play. It's glitchy as all fuck. We had to reload several times because of how glitchy it was. It's just one of those games you just lean into the good jank and just have fun with it. Yeah, there's not really much else I can say. It was fucking stupid. If you're a fan of like the Resident Evil style, it's just fucking stupid. You do need patience with it though, I'll have to say, because it is remotely unfair at times. But it's so janky that you just have to have fun with it. It's kind of in the same vein as what was that deep game we played last year that was the same kind of thing. It was just so fucking bad that I just had fun with it. Yeah, but basically that's that. It's just so bad it's actually kind of good. It's $2, but as I said, it will crash on you. It's not the best. It's really not the best game. Don't go into it expecting even remotely a decent game. Just go in expecting wooden acting and something fucking awful, and you will get at least a laugh out of it. And then we're on to the final so bad it's good, which is Sinister Entity. Oh, Sinister Entity. So this game, this fucking game, this game has the most dramatic cutscenes you will ever see. Gameplay is jank mess. Like it has proper, like almost vomit comet levels of, but the cutscenes, they are over the top dramatic. They are just, they are out of this world. Yeah, Friendo, basically it's a Void of Friendo game, but Friendo just fucks off and hides in cupboards and just kills you if they get anywhere near you. There's no checkpoint system, so you have to go back to the bedroom to save if you want to actually save at all. The game is jank. It's properly broken jank. I think one of the puzzles didn't work at one point as well, and we had to stop because the puzzle didn't load properly.
Okay.
But the cutscenes, by God, the cutscenes were good. Cutscenes alone are worth the fucking money. It's a like £2.50 game. The cutscenes in this game alone are worth that. They are so over the top. They're so fucking like, just fucking chef's kiss. The rest of the game is fucking terrible. Really fucking terrible. But the cutscenes, they will make you laugh. They will make you fucking laugh. And that is the last good thing I have to say. We are now into horrible, horrible game territory. We are now into the worst games of the year.
The worst of the worst.
Yes. Now, I will say now at this point, I haven't checked these since I played them. Some of them may have been removed from Steam because there are one or two that have been removed before. And I got to the end of the year. But if we find them, we'll go through them. So, the first one is the Forgotten Cabin. I'm just making sure this is the right game. Let me just check. I think it is. Yes, this is the right game. So, this game wants to be did go through a phase of being called Maze, the game. Now, you may go, well, why did they change it? They changed it because there's no fucking maze.
Okay.
This game is, you stand in a house for about 10 minutes, Slenderman gifts happen around you, model animations spawn in, spawn out, yeah, it just kind of shit happens around you. This was the game that I tabbed out to tell someone about how the cat got on at the vet. For 8 minutes, nothing happened in that 8 minutes. The key to exit just spawned on the floor in front of us, and we got to leave to at the end.
Okay.
There's no fucking maze, and it was still called Maze. It was like something like the Maze game, and there was no mazes in it. So yeah.
I love that in terms of it being like a Troll 2 kind of a deal.
Fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. Then we get on to Terror Mansion.
Definitely not
Terror
ripping off
Mansion.
Resident Evil. Definitely not ripping that off. No way.
Yep, Terror Mansion. Do you like head bob? Do you like feeling like your entire game is on a boat? While you're walking around, the camera won't stay still even while you're looking at items. It will still bob up and down.
Oof.
Do you like a camera that likes to lurch off the screen while you're in the middle of looking at something? Do you like trying to put in a 4-digit code while your camera will not keep still? Do you like feeling like you're on 3 bottles of vodka while you're trying to do anything? If not, you're not going to like this game. What I find more hilarious is, when we played this, the most recent update for this game had said, we fixed head bob!
Oh my god, it sounds awful.
It is fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. This is another one of those games. This is one of my bugbears that I will get out of the way now. If you're going to make a game that's very dark, if you give me batteries that last 1 minute, and that's all the batteries I get, and I can't find any more batteries around, when it gets too dark to play, I will close your game. This is something I've started doing from this year, because I can't be fucked with games that give me batteries for 1 minute and expect me to clusterfuck my way around in the dark, trying to find out what the fuck to do. I'm done with it. I'm not playing this kind of bullshit anymore. I've played enough of this shit this year. But this one also had the items you needed to pick up in this game sometimes fell through the floor, or hid underneath the cabinet they were meant to be in, or they blur into the scenery so you can't see them, which is especially fun when all you can see is the lurching camera going left and right and up and down, and you can't follow what the fuck's going on, and it's just it's bad. Oh, it's fucking bad. So, yeah, that was Terror Mansion. Next we have 4-point prologue. Note the word prologue and the words $3.39
Well done.
in price. So, you start in a house. You then go to an industrial landscape where there's like a single item, if you can see it, lying on the floor. When you click on it, it takes you into a Unity Unreal demo screen. That's basically like what imagine if Unity made Minecraft. And there's nothing to do in it. And that's the entire game. There's been no effort put into this game. There was no point to it. It still wants $4 for there. See there?
Oh my god.
There it is.
What?
That's there.
Okay.
Yeah. Seems fucking terrible.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Do not play this game. It is fucking terrible. It's genuinely just made me feel genuinely depressed when I played it. Do not play this game. It is fucking terrible. Then we have to follow this with something that was equally bad, which is After the Flood. So you'll notice this screen we're in is the same asset you get quite a lot. So it's like the mansion, greenhouse, church map that you see around. There's a friendo who, again, just looks like he's been recently purchased off the asset store. The hint button points you in a direction. That's all it does. That's it. The game is just the asset with the asset with the asset. There's nothing else new. There's nothing else thing. The clues don't work. The text has been copy pasted from somewhere else. It's just really fucking bad, and it's just genuinely just disappointing and terrible. This is just one that's just like most boring that there is, and I can't really say anything more about it. Next is the game where you get attacked by a man with a pixelated face.
Okay.
So your girlfriend goes missing. You can't open a door. Then you get attacked by a man in a hoodie with a pixelated face. That's about as far as you can get before he just keeps killing you over and over and over again. So
I'm just watching this video like, okay, so is this the play space? Just this tiny little apartment?
Yep. If I remember right, yep. It was no fun. Oh, there was. I don't get this. Well, there's people just disappear when you walk close to them. Yeah. But yeah, you just get beaten up by a man with a pixelated face. It's fucking terrible. There's some of them I have more vitriol to say about them than others, and some of them just like, this is just terrible. Then we had It Happened at Night. This is one set in the Ghostwatcher's house. This one. Oh, this fucking game. You're playing a 24-year-old called Jennifer, who, you know when you watch a horror movie and the protagonist goes like, I'm gonna do this because this is what I want to do, and you're like, that's a really fucking stupid decision. And you start by going, oh lol, it's stupid, really, it's bad. No, it gets to the point where you're like, properly head in hands, like somebody wrote this shit. What the actual fuck? It's fucking terrible. It's really, really, really fucking bad. And even at like £1.49 or 43, no, it's got some of the worst decision making in a game. The game itself is fucking bland as anything. There's nothing about the game that's even remotely rememberable. But by God, the fucking it's fucking bad.
It does look like a very standard, just sort of like walk around the house kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm. On the note of walk around the house, this is Cursed Home. Now, Cursed Home tells you, go here, go there, do this, do that, don't deviate. Game finishes in 8 minutes.
Great. At least the pain's short, I suppose.
It wants £2.50 to finish in 8 minutes while it tells you, don't deviate. It's fucking bad, man. Like, some things get, mentioned in the worst games of the year because they're genuinely drawn out shite. This gets it because it finishes, like... This is like, just like, the sort of, like, you walk in and they're like, yeah, that's me done. Kindly fuck off, and you're like...
For $2.50, that's horrendous.
Yeah. Before They Wake. Oh dear God, I'd forgotten about this one. So, this one looks like you're driving a car. You are in a certain stage later on, but the first section you're driving your wheelchair. with the same physics. It's literally hold W, and if you get near a creature, you need to release W, and it will go. Oh, there you go. There's a wheelchair scene. And if you get to the point that you release W when your noise meter gets too high because your wheelchair squeaks. And the creature just go, oh, it stopped making noise. Obviously, there's no one there, and just leave you alone. Vendors don't care unless your order bar hits full. There was a red flashing light that kept shouting something about a wolf. I don't remember what it was. I just remember there was a red light about a wolf. I think it's meant to be run, but you can't really run when you're in a wheelchair.
No.
So, not really much happens in it. There's lots of hills and ramps. And if you get caught, you get smacked out of your wheelchair. And that's the end, and you have to start again. It's genuinely really, really bad. It's genuinely really, really bad. Like, really, really, really bad. Like, this is, I remember this, you can get stuck on the gate.
Oh yeah, it really looks like it. Like you can see that character model's not even really touching the floor, and oh god, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
bad. It's bad. Right, what was next? Lights Die to Survive. Light Die to Survive was a trial and error horror game with no hints. No hints. So this game, you start in a car, you walk any direction you want, you're immediately killed.
Okay.
You respawn back at your car, you walk a different direction. There's a sort of weird glitch going on or noise, then you're killed. You rinse, you repeat. This goes for quite a while. When you look up the Steam page to find out what am I meant to do, it tells you you need to play the demo to understand what you're doing. This means downloading the demo separately to play it. When you download the demo, the exact same thing happens.
Okay.
You take like 4 steps and you're immediately shot in the head. There is no game here. There is no game here.
Hey? So you just are you meant to be like flailing around in the dark trying to find some invisible route or something?
It's like your car is like here. You can see that from where she is. She's just walked out of her car. There's like a sort of curving horseshoe style road next to you. If you go left, you're killed. If you go right, you're killed. If you go straight over, you can't climb the hill. But when you try and climb the hill, you're still killed. It's just not fucking fun.
Well, there's just nothing there. What the hell?
But we go from that kind of bad to blindly incompetent with Spectrophobia. Spectrophobia is a game about avoiding a nun. Now, the nun's biggest problem, as I'm sure everyone knows with nuns, is that she can't climb the stairs in a multi-storied house. So your job is to kind of find the items you need to escape while avoiding her while she can't climb stairs.
Okay. What a concept.
Yeah. Oh, and they don't tell you she can't climb stairs. You just realise that when you're standing on the stairs looking at her and she's just sort of bobbing up against the stairs, unable to get to you. Yeah. It's
shocking.
pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Oh, then we get to exit left or right. What do you think makes an Anomaly game more fun? It's choosing left or right. But, you know, we can't have anything... Is this thing on? I just need to check my note. Is this the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, the game doesn't have jump scares. That's about as jump scary as it gets. If you choose the wrong direction, a friendo very meekly appears and the game fades to black, then restarts.
That's just like a very pointless version. Like the standing parable is left or right, basically, but there's a narrative and a point to that, and this appears to have none of it.
No. This game was terrible. This game was really really bad. But again, it just seems like there's just nothing there. There's just like, yeah, yeah. But then we got on to fungus.
Not so fungus.
Fungus is a game about living in a sewer, growing your own mushrooms.
Okay.
You
Bit of mycology.
you grow them in shit. You sell them. But you may have noticed on that little panel he was up before. Actually, can I rewind to that bit? Right. See the starting bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for him to turn. See that bridge?
Yeah.
If you fall off that bridge, you get stuck. There is no way out.
Oh dear.
It's very easy to fall off that bridge.
That's such a basic thing.
It's basically just you kind of you grow mushrooms to sell mushrooms to make coins, which you can't really use. You just kind of have a pile of coins. It's a really bizarre fuck around of a game. With a really big, if you fall off the bridge, you just get stuck at the bottom of the bridge. You can't do anything.
It's like the bare bones of a concept.
Yeah.
Like that's like the very foundational level of gameplay of like, right, so we grow the mushrooms, we get the coins, and then something.
And then it's the question marks profit.
Yeah.
Right. Next we have Nightshift Nightmares. Ah, Nightshift Nightmares. So you're a nurse. This is your first shift. You're going in solo in an asylum. Already you're like, oh, okay. So you're looking at this going, it can't be that bad. The direction system is terrible. Yeah, it's basically things like, it says go to this room, pick up the flashlight. It means going to the room upstairs, then finding a flashlight. The rules are not displayed properly on the screen. If you die and reset at any point, the text goes over the top of each other, so you can't read it. It has a habit of restarting you on the wrong quest, as in like if you finish something and then start the next one and then die, it will show you the text for the one before, but the items you need for it will not spawn.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got soft locked on that many times.
Oh.
Oh, we have ads in 2 minutes, but I can get the next one done for that 2 minutes because... Oh, Labyrinth Roll of Fate. Oh, this one was fucking painful. So, you take board game elements, right? And you smash them with roguelike elements to create something great. Unfortunately, the things you took from board game elements is roll to move. And the roguelike elements is you roll to draw cards. So you're in a maze game, trying to escape a stalking friend. You get a compass that tells you need to go over that way. In a maze. But you can't go through walls, you have to go around, and the maze is just there and it's not going to work. Your turn of rolling the dice can glitch through the floor. The dice can bounce up and down without rolling.
Right.
You move that many like sections 1 to 4. There's dead ends. There's poor lighting. There's genuinely just a general sense of there's a friendo trying to get you, but friendo knows exactly how to get to you. You don't know how to get away from friendo, and you can't go like if friendo blocks you in a corridor. You can't go through him and keep going. You need to go around him, which is not possible. Also, this game has gone down in price. It was a lot more expensive than £4.29.
Damn.
So
it's expensive for what it is.
This is bad.
There's only one review as well. I'm surprised.
Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. The next one. The next one isn't a game. The next one is a series of games. Have you had the misfortune or not to deal with the Abnormal 1999 series?
Normal 1999, no. I do not know of this.
Here are 6 games. We have played all 6 of these games. All of them could be on this list.
Damn.
Let's take this one for example.
I
We're
call
about to
it
get
down.
ads, so I will explain this one when we get back from ads. So let me just put the ad screen up. Also, apologies, we've overrun by a fair bit, but it should be done in the next 20 minutes. So hopefully start your Jackbox stuff soon. But yeah, I'll just quickly explain Abnormally 1999. So it's a series of games, and all of them look like they'd be interesting, but they want you to do connections between items by having this gigantic screen. Actually, I'm going to see, does it have a picture of the screen anywhere? Oh, I'll look at. Does it have a picture of the screen anywhere? No, it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't on one of the other ones. I'll see if I can find it while we're waiting for people. Well, this is the first one. This was... Right. So basically, there's like do you tell me what the screen is like? No. There's like it's like the whole screen. It's like all these little words and connections that they find. When you find them, they go on this board. And when they go on the board, you are meant to sort of join them together like you would in like a detective game, like in like Black Sad.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing makes logical sense. Nothing makes any sense. And all of the games have exactly the same outlook of it, of just being like... Yeah, and there's like 8 different screens you can look at.
Okay.
All the 8 different screens are all lists of things you can do, but most of them just boil down to like this, where it's like, actually that's talking this while we're in adverts, but yeah, it's like, here's a desert asset we've bought, where the one path you can take is straight in front of you and nowhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And it wants you to make gigantic leaps in logic to make any progress. And there are 6 of these games now, and I've yet to understand any of them. They are
just space logic all over the place, isn't
they
it?
are fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. I'm trying to find what if one of them gives. Like this one,
It's
for example, was just run around in like the long grass. Well, there's random buildings just placed around. Like you can see there's just random buildings.
It's like the modern equivalent to old point and click games where it was rub every item against every other item.
Yeah.
And like the feeling of just go everywhere, just check everything, because in this case, yeah, just run around a field full of bullshit. Ugh.
I'm genuinely tempted just to move on without having to explain it at all for anyone else, just because of how little I care about the Abnormal 1999 series.
Wow.
How many we
That's
got
fair.
left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, I have 9 left. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this, man.
No,
I
that's
know I
all
was
good.
rambling, but yeah.
In fairness, I was probably being a bit ambitious, being like, oh yeah, 5 hours of Jackbox midnight. If we even make it to midnight.
We'll make it at midnight. We'll make it, man. We'll make it. Right. So yeah, I'm just gonna I should be at Bill back from ads. Welcome back, everybody. These games suck. Moving on. I hate the Abnormal 1999 series. I've tried to understand them and I just can't. They make no sense. So we're going on to Redemption, which you may go. Is it that one? That's the purple one. Yes, it's this one. Oh, this fucking game. So the game's description talks about how you eat corpses to gain powers. You're like, oh, okay, cool, that's fair enough, quite cutesy. No, you walk over to a body, then the body just disappears. You can have one power up at a time of Hoverboots, Shield, or Throw Bone. Bones don't kill friendos. There's no hit detection sounds. They're randomly stunned or just wander off and come back. The Hoverboots hover half a foot lower than your standing height if you jump. You can't run off high platforms to use them as there's invisible walls. This genuinely, I put this in the review I wrote for it, but I genuinely wonder if this is one of those violence is wrong Christian games. Because it is that bad. It's very toothless. It's very toothless. And it is fucking terrible. Which is a genuine shame because it looks really nice.
It seems like another case of, like, this is something that's not finished. It looks like there's a concept here, but they've gotten, like, some of the foundational stuff and then realised quite how hard it is to tune, like, platforming and that kind of stuff, and to actually create interesting challenge with that.
Consume your own corpse. No, you can't. Next we get to Chamber Survival. Have you ever wanted to play a game where you spawn in a room, you run down a corridor, then get stuck in a room and you can't leave as the padlock doesn't work?
I can't say I have.
Ah, well, that's a shame. I would have said I have the game for you if that had been the case. All you do is you run down that corridor that he's running down now, and then you spawn in a different room, and some furniture moves around that you just avoid by walking to the sides. And then you go in that room, then you run around a bit more, then you avoid a couple more things, and you go through this room, and down some stairs, and then you go into another room, and I think that's it.
So the trailer itself is the game?
Well, how the game goes from here, I don't know, because that's the friendo that spawns, and he kicks you back by doing some sort of giant dust fart, and then you get put into this room, and notice how the game stops there, because that's as far as you can go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Another unfinished one.
Yeah. That wanted for £5 from you for it.
Ambitious. I suppose if you only get a handful of people and it doesn't cost that much to get it on there, that it works out.
Well, next we have Eclipse Echo of Dimension. Now, this is a maze game that claims to be made by a 13-year-old. That's its big selling point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is that it's this black and white alien landscape, and all you experience for this game is chugging. And I mean you have your graphics, whatever setting you want, be it ultra, all the way down to low, the game will still chug, and sometimes actually get worse on lower graphical difficulties.
Yeah.
And the big thing you'll remember of this game is you're wandering around, you can't really find anything to do, but the AI will generate haikus and read them to you.
Oh, okay. That's deep for a 13-year-old, I guess.
Yes. Yes. Oh no, sorry, this wasn't the 13-year-old. Next one's the 13-year-old, sorry. This one's just a random game about haikus talking at you. The next game was the one based on the 13-year-old. Which is this one, which is Steal, Then Just Escape. The real thrill.
The real thrill.
Steal, Then Just Escape has return to coming soon.
Much English, double good.
Yep. So this is the one by 13. This is a maze game. It's very asset heavy. It has no gun sounds, or the gun sounds it did have were so dire it's weird. Collision detection was so off that creatures can be between 5 and 10 meters away from you and still hit you with melee attacks. You can't shoot them because you can't basically shoot them through the metal bars they're holding. If you do get a chance to find the gold and pick it up, the game immediately crashes.
Okay.
But yeah, there are a lot of assets that are just pasted 30 times into each room, and it just chugs like a cunt. So yeah, that one was pretty bad.
I mean, it says postponing the relaunch in the description there. Is this even available right now?
Says so.
Oh, fair enough.
It came out in February. I don't think it's changed since it came out. Then we get the dark story. So
what is that picture? That's
a very angry man. So Act 1 for this game is you need to get keys to open a door in the world's largest mansion. There's a sort of giant swole butler that tries to catch you. It's a very, 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 very exhausting, boring key finding game. The rooms are massive. They're like several like million times bigger than they need to be. 99.9% of everything you look in will be empty. When you do find things, yeah, they're so rare that you actually find anything. You know when you play a game that just leaves you feeling completely demoralized.
Mm-hmm.
That's this game.
Not good.
No.
That's not the feeling you want from a game.
No. It was pretty fucking terrible. According to the thing, I think we looked it up, and apparently there was meant to be a safe in the library we needed to open. We went to the library and it was not there. So yeah, that's one for there. The next one is more of the publisher than the game, but this one was bad. Are you familiar at all with Yahaha Studios?
I am not. No.
Yahaha Studios make horror games, and they turn out usually about 4 or 5 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, it's a 4-act game, and you're like, oh, cool. Those 4 acts can play in 3 minutes each.
Oh damn.
This one, I'm trying to remember which one this one. This one is, oh yeah, this one started out by telling you that it was on the premise of scientific experiments in Guatemala about syphilis and other STDs, and I was like, oh, okay, this might be doing something interesting. It looks like it wants to be something like the Russian. It's got the fucking doll with his face. The Russian sleep experiment looks like that kind of style.
Yeah, that's a weird angle.
The game is you wander around. You are mocked by a puppet. Avoid a large monster, then another large monster. And the plot kind of disappears the second after you get to the house. Like, all it kind of goes. It starts off by going, yes, these scientific experiments in Guatemala. And you go, oh, cool. And then you get to the house and it doesn't care anymore. It also ends with "to be continued."
Ooh.
Do you see anywhere that it says "to be continued"? Nope, but the game does. The game wants to be continued. It's fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. We're nearly done.
It's okay. I'm just thinking in terms of like just the dumbness. Well, not the dumbness, but like that name, the Myst of Guatemala. It would just amuse me for there to be like the sequel to be like the Fog on the Tyne. Would be fucking fantastic. They'd be doing something there at least.
Not to be confused with Umbra, which is actually a good game if I remember right. Umbrel is this one. This is Umbrel. Now, this game, you play as a cunt.
Okay.
The protagonist is an absolute bellend. His girlfriend leaves him because he's an absolute bellend. He then spends most of the game being a complete dick to everyone. He kills himself at the end of the game with that look in his face that you get in that kind of like muscle wank videos. And
sorry, what videos?
you know, ones where it's just like sweaty men with a very fevered expression on their face. You're just like,
I mean, I suppose I know that that's out there.
yeah, it's not fun. So the game then decides to start talking about suicide, and there's lots of unskippable text. There's very short chapters. It's a walking sim with lots of big text that has a fucking agenda. There's a scene where you're being tortured. I can't remember what happens in it, but yeah, it's just very, very preachy about suicide is bad. Oh, 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 and it's just, it's just fucking bad, man.
Heavy-handed shit, is it?
It's fucking terrible, and the protagonist is an absolute dick. It's just, it's just fucking bad. It's just, ugh. Right, we have 3 to go. Let's get which one's, actually no, that is fucking terrible, I can stay to the end. So, remember earlier we mentioned Buckshot Roulette?
Mm-hmm.
How about a game if you're sitting in a chair and you have to make a decision as to who or your friend gets hurt?
Okay, so some Saw type stuff.
Yeah. This is Gaslift, a chair horror. So let me just check my notes for this one. Make sure I'm getting the right game. So you and a fellow prisoner have to decide whether to hit the green "Let's be friends" button, where you both, which gives you both a small amount of charge, if you both hit yes, or the red "Punish the other" button, which either reduces yours while giving your opponent a chunk of charge, or gives you both some charge if you both hit it. Most of the time, you press the green button, the AI presses the green button, and a voice like a pubescent twat who's literally inhaled Red Bull starts talking about how he's God. Occasionally you're given items, and the green button will be removed, and it's like, ha, I told you were evil because you pressed the red button, and it's like, you took the green button away. I couldn't press anything else. I couldn't move the game along. So yeah, it's really fucking boring. It's really fucking terrible. It's just not fun, and it's just, oh, it's bad.
Sounds pretty pointless.
But at least when we go, there is a game there. Unlike in Nightmare Flight. Now, have you ever wanted to be the pilot of a plane and walk up and down a plane that's full of reused asset friends that are just sitting there? Well, the game tells you, don't go too far away from the cockpit, the plane will start to plummet.
Because that's how it works, right?
If you walk to the other end of the plane and do nothing for 10 minutes, the plane still does not crash.
As it should be, really.
I know this because that's what we did. And the monsters that jump out at you don't exist. Or they do exist, and then they immediately run away again, and you never see them.
Okay.
There's 3 variants of this game in this game. All 3 of them do nothing. It is just a game about being on a plane. There's nothing else to do with this game. It is just be on a plane.
It looks like it's trying to like capture that Twilight Zone episode that's infamous with William Shatner and the gremlin on the wing, but no, looking at this trailer, I mean, I guess I'm seeing the whole deal here pretty much. And it's pretty wonky at best.
Yep. So, we have one final game, and it is still fucking terrible. And that one final game is Paradise's Secrets.
Ooh.
So, this game claims it will last you 4 hours. It does not last you 4 hours. This game crashed 3 times while trying to load its own menu. We did the DX11 fix to try and get it working, and it ran from that, but it was chuggy, and I mean chuggy. And this was on medium graphic settings and 30 FPS, and it was still chuggy.
Oh dear.
The problem is, the camera, as you can see in this, the camera lurches around really, really violently. That's constant. It's not fun. You then go to like the high school asset that I think everyone's seen, and you have to find large cardboard cutout squares. And when you find all the cardboard cutout squares, you put them on a wall with other cardboard cutout squares, and it goes, congratulations, you found the cutout squares, you can go back to the main mansion now. Where you go through another portal and look for another place with giant cardboard cutout squares. It's
exciting.
It's just fucking terrible. The sheer lurching around that the camera does is just unfucking forgivable. It's just a really fucking bad game. Like a really fucking bad game. There's nothing else I can say about it. It's just fucking bad.
Anything with that amount, like just from the trailer, I can see the amount of head bob.
Yeah.
Anything like that is just like, no, it doesn't add immersion. As I'm walking, I don't like oop, bump, 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 bump down the road. Like it's not like up and down, unless I'm choosing to do some weird gait.
Unless you brought your pogo stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty fucking bad. Anyway, so that has been our run through of the year. Yeah, that has been TTO 2024. There are some good games. There are some very good games. There are some bad games. There are some very, very fucking bad games. Yeah, I would say that there is a lot available on Steam that is very, very good. And as I said, I've played 700 odd games this year, 705 horror games this year. There are some very, very good ones to be found. If you do want to, I mean, you can find me on Steam as Pupsky. I have tried to review all the ones that I've given decent scores to. If you want to look through my thing. Actually, there was one last game I want to give a mention to. Because of what it did. Where is it? There. Right. So this is the game, The Maths Problem Killer. This gets an honourable mention as below worst game, because this game started out as being a game where every single section was things like you'd walk in and there'd be some 3 recordings you'd have to listen to, and it'd be things like, I found Angela. I watched her 3 times as she touched her car. And you'd be like, oh god, what's this? And then the last bit would be him going, the solution to this floor is the number of times I did this multiplied by this plus this. And you'd be like, right, okay, no problem. I'll write those down, we'll work it out, we'll go through it. It was a slog. It took us 9 fucking hours. We got to near the end, and then the game bugged out, and we were like, I can't be fucked with this. It reloaded, it didn't work. Nah, I'm done. And I was like, fair enough, at least it's something different, and it was interesting to run through. Basically like Saw, if Saw was really into fucking Countdown. So you're like, fair enough. Then they announced, where is it? This one. Major game update. The math is out.
Right.
They got rid of all the maths from the Math Problem Killer. They turned it from being a maths-based horror game to being a blind shooter game.
That's crazy. Just a complete genre switch.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Like if I can play this, right? So he goes around. So there's these like locks and stuff. Like you had to listen to these audio clips, and he would tell you shit, and he'd be about there, and then he'd tell you things. This is the end one, and it would come up with the Math Problem Killer. And then you go all the way back up here to this new one, and it's now wanted to be called a punishing tactical FPS game. Whereas you play, it's now an FPS shooter.
Right.
So
This is entirely logical.
Yeah.
To do this.
I don't know why they didn't just make a second game and just use the skin of the first one and just put that up. Then you'd have at least both, rather than completely switch everything. But maybe that was too much work, I don't know. But yeah, this is the math problem killer. This has lost any kind of... I think this is the one I have a review for, and my review is just, they took the maths out, it's just not the same anymore. Because they took the maths out of the game. They took the maths out of the math problem killer.
I mean, yeah. This is such a bizarre case of just like, why would... Yeah. Oh, it makes no sense.
Yeah, that is the last one we will mention for this year. We will now bounce off and do some Jackbox, because that is a little bit later than we meant to start. But I genuinely appreciate Eden for swinging by and helping me go through this shit. Thank you all for watching along. Thank you all for watching along for TTO this year. Hopefully next year we will continue to get more weird and wonderful games out there. But as ever, if you watch this and you like go through the start of this video, get all the good ones. They're all really good games. Don't play this shit. This is terrible. But yeah, we will wind up there. So thank you very much, folks. Let's find who's on. Who is on? Anyone on doing something interesting? Who is on? Fuck. I would raid Hads, but he's got... Oh, raid Cammy. Alright, well, until next time, folks, thank you all once again very, very much for being a part of it. Thank you to Eden for giving some time to get this all done.
It's all good.
We are going to raid over to Cammy, and then we're going to go play some goddamn Jackbox. So, yeah, we'll when I find Cammy on the list. Cammy. But yes, until next time, folks, take care, have a good time, enjoy your horror, love yous all, good night.
Bye.